So most people here probably know a little bit about L'Arche, and that's probably why you came here. But just in case you don't, let me tell you about who we are. So L'Arche Greater Washington, D.C. is a community of people with and without intellectual disabilities, sharing life together. As a nonprofit, we provide housing and support services to adults with intellectual disabilities. Our community life centers on relationship, led by core members, the adults with intellectual disabilities who live in our homes. Our mission is to make known the gifts of people with intellectual disabilities through mutually transforming relationships. So often society sees people with disabilities as only bringing need, but we know that we all bring gifts and that we want to make those gifts known. We do that through these mutually transforming relationships. So not some sort of top-down approach by anyone, but that we are learning and growing together as equals. So you know a little about L'Arche now, if you didn't already. So what is this Diving Deeper series? This is a discussion event series we started last year, and the topics come from things that our community, our L'Arche community, is thinking about and talking about and grappling with, things that really impact our life. So all the topics come from our community, and this topic of making a living and employment comes straight from things that we're discussing in our own community. Last month, we talked about human-centered healthcare, and we especially talked about making the medical field more accessible and inclusive. And we discussed our My Voice film. So if you missed that one, you can find the My Voice film on our website, and we'll drop the link at the end of this discussion. Today, we're talking about making a living with a disability, and I'm so excited to be joined by some of the team from Jake's Ice Cream. You can see a photo there of some of the team as well. So with me today is Robin Renierson, owner and founder of Jake's Ice Cream. Thanks for giving a wave, Robin, great. As well as Tim Walker, employee at Jake's Ice Cream. And Adam Tubin works with Tim and Robin. Thanks, Adam. He works with Tim and Robin, and he manages the social media at Jake's. So, so great to have y'all with us. Thank you so much. So we're pumped to jump into this topic today, making a living with a disability. For a little context, we find that among the disability community, there's much a higher rate of unemployment. If you compare people with disabilities without disabilities, it's harder for people with disabilities oftentimes to find employment. So that's something that we wanted to discuss today in the framework of what the work's happening at Jake's and personal experiences. So I will stop sharing my screen and we'll jump into a discussion. So I'll ask some questions and then I'll open it up to the audience. Just get myself situated here. Great. So first of all, to my panelists, Robin, Tim, and Adam, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got involved with Jake's. And Robin, could you start us off?
Sure. I am recently retired from working for almost 45 years as a pediatric developmental optometrist. I did my doctoral thesis on Down syndrome, got it published, got a bunch of awards for the school, and started the beginning of what became a special needs clinic at the school. That was continued by a student that graduated the year after me, and then continued to teach at the school until just this past year when he retired. So working with the disabled community has been something that is first and foremost on my passion areas, if you will, even before I did the ice cream parlor or, started practice or what have you. I took some genetics courses at University of Virginia. So suffice it to say, I've worked with the differently abled community, whether they were born with issues or developed them from injuries or from illnesses or a variety of different things. And I love it. I have a 29-year-old nephew, Jake, who has cerebral palsy. And Jake had been employed for about 8 years by a company who, when COVID hit, they let go pretty much all of the 18 differently abled employees that they had, but they didn't shut down the rest of the business. And that aggravated me because I was still in practice at that point, and we bent over backwards in our practice to stay open, to, sequester people, to take temperatures, everybody wearing masks, keeping people socially distanced, having people wait in their cars to come in. There were a lot of things that you could do to mitigate issues and continue to stay open in the kind of business where Jake was working, as well as in my personal practice. We bent over backwards to do it. And yes, it was inconvenient. And yes, it was expensive, but we remained open. I employed in my practice 20 people. All right. Now at Jake's, I employ 30. So when you think about closing down a business and what happens to those people when they no longer have an income or someplace to go, it can be pretty devastating. So even if it meant that the principals took a little bit of a cut in pay, we were willing to do that. And it aggravated me that the place where Jake was working didn't think about that. Or maybe they thought about it and they dismissed it. I can't really say. I can't look into their minds, but it aggravated me when that happened. And he was unemployed for about a year and a half. So a year ago, I started looking into opening an ice cream parlor and employing primarily differently abled young adults. The ice cream parlor idea came from a friend of mine who is also my investment broker, who had opened up a couple of ice cream parlors with his now former girlfriend. And he said to me at one point, before I even considered doing an ice cream parlor or doing anything else, he said, you know, Rob, when you retire, you should open ice cream parlors. It's a great retirement business. And I said, I don't need another job after I retire. The whole point of retiring is not working. So anyway, long story short, about a year ago, a year and a half ago from now, he was in the office himself for one of his appointments. And he said that when he left his appointment, he was going to go interview an ice cream parlor that was ready to go out of business in the Shirlington area. And then he looked at me and he said, well, maybe you would want to do that. And I said, you know what, maybe I would. And he said, what made you change your mind? He said, for the last 3 or 4 years, you've been telling me to, go away. And I said, well, Jake's unemployed. And I said, this is not for me. This is for him and other people that are like him. So to make a very long story as short as possible, I negotiated a purchase of this ice cream parlor and ran into a brick wall because the landlord in that location would not rent to me because I hired people that are differently abled. And he could not get his head wrapped around the difference between people with disabilities and homeless derelicts. And that was shocking to me. Suffice it to say, I have already filed a Department of Justice complaint against them. And I said, okay, never mind. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to move on. I'm going to find someplace else to go. And what I found is where we are located now. Irony of ironies, the location where we are now is managed by the same parent company that manages Shirlington. However, the people that are there managing that property are understanding of the difference between people with disabilities and people that are homeless derelicts. And they have bent over backwards to try to help us get this open and running and, make exceptions to most of their rules to allow us to do the things that we have done. So I am grateful for that. But that delayed opening by a year, not being able to get the rent in the first place and then having to start from scratch because we had to do the complete build out for this location. So we opened in August, and to be honest with you, an ice cream parlor like what we have could be run by 2 managers and 6 able-bodied people. And I have a staff of 30. Okay. So most of my employees are differently abled. Not a single one of them is able to work full-time because of restrictions for how much they can earn. Only a few of them work 20 hours a week. Tim is one of them. Most of my employees will work 8 hours, 10 hours, and that's about it, which is why it takes so many people to run the business. 11 of the people that are differently abled and 1 or 2 that are not came from my own patient pool, because as I was grumbling about Jake losing his job and not knowing what we're going to do next, and then I was saying, well, I'm going to open an ice cream parlor and this, that, and the other thing, patients were coming into the office with their parents, kids are coming in, and I said, and I'm going to open this business and I'm going to hire other differently abled people. And a good number of them said, I'd like to have a job there, or their parents would say to me, would you please hire my son or daughter? And I said, sure. And so the first 11 came from my patient pool. And while we were working through construction kinds of things, I did training at my house every other weekend and had those 11 people come to the house and learn how to make waffle cones and learn how to make cake pops and learn how to make milkshakes and learn how to make ice cream cakes and learn how to make hot cocoa bombs. And in my neighborhood, there's a listserv, and I would send an email out to the neighborhood saying, the kids are coming this weekend and here's what we're going to make. Does anybody want to buy anything? And so we were selling what we made to the people in the neighborhood. Now, mind you, this is at the height of COVID. No, I don't know these neighbors. Right? There's 1,100 homes in my neighborhood. I don't know most of these people. So they would send me an email and they'd say, I want to have, 10 cake pops or 5 cocoa bombs or whatever it is. And we'd say, okay, the kids would come over, we'd make everything, we'd pack it up with their name on it. We'd put it in a bag on my front porch, and they would put money underneath the mat when they picked it up. They never rang the doorbell. I never met them. I had no idea who they were. Ultimately, we opened up the ice cream parlor, and some people have come in and they said, I'm the one that used to buy all of these things. My name is whatever. I go, oh, okay. We can finally put a name and a face together. I felt like I was running a speakeasy.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
We were trafficking in confectionery goods rather than in alcohol or other banished things. So anyhow, so I started training the kids at my house because I wanted them to be familiar with the equipment and how to do things, so that when we opened the shop, even though the shop was not going to look like my dining room table, they had some idea where to get started. And then when we were closer to opening, we had a Facebook page and we developed a website, and by word of mouth primarily. And one of the parents, actually a couple of the parents of the kids who were starting with me, they reached out to other people, and we obtained most of our employees by word of mouth kinds of things. 1 or 2 came as a recommendation from a business or 2 that has job coaches. So anyhow, we have a variety of different abilities in the shop, from people that are extremely independent to people that are like Adam, not so independent. But Adam uses his brain. And so
it's fun.
He started off with a job as a greeter at Costco, if I'm not mistaken. And so when he started in the shop with us,
sorry, I was there for 10 years.
10 years, right?
Yeah, I was at the door, and this is a lot more fun because it's more inclusive and more a lot less people, but it's more interactive than Costco for me.
So anyway, so Adam started with us as a greeter while we were trying to figure out ways to put his voice activated stuff on our computer in our business office. And we have yet to be able to put it on our business office computer, but instead he works with a job coach, and I have gone to his house, and he now, answers the comments on our Facebook page and takes some of the photos from our Facebook page and puts them on our Yelp Biz thing. And so we're having him run our social media. He knows how to do, what's it called?
The Twitter,
right.
Twitter,
Instagram. He knows how to do Instagram. I have no idea how to do it. So it's been a learning experience for his parents, for me, for the job coach, even, who is not so savvy with this kind of stuff. But Adam is good, and he doesn't see well. He obviously has very little use of his hands.
I have a 42-inch TV screen. I have a 42-inch TV screen that I do all my emails on, and everything, but it's working, so I'm good.
That's great. Yeah, Adam, I'd love more from you and Tim as well. Thank you so much, Robin, for introducing how the shop got started and all the different things. And I definitely want to dig more into what you're talking about with like income cap challenges a little later and everything. But yeah, Tim and Adam, I'd love to hear more about how you got involved with Jake's and your role there. So we were talking about social media. So Adam, could you explain a little bit more about how you learned about Jake's, how you got involved, and what you do?
This is actually pretty cool. One of Robin's patients is one of our good friends. So she told my mom about it, and that was it. So that Monday, we went to Starbucks for the interview, and we we never looked back from there.
Adam and his dad came for an interview while we were still under construction.
So you're one of the
And I-
earliest hires.
Yeah. So I let them, I unlocked the doors and let them go through to see that we could at least push his wheelchair around the cabinets and the counters and that we had enough space to be able to move him in and out and around, assuming we could put this voice activated dragon speak thing on our computer if he was going to work from the shop itself. So he got one of the first looks at the inside of the place when it was still under construction.
Great.
Yeah, it was pretty. There wasn't too much there, but for the most part, it grew to this summer. We opened on August 8th, 4-hour soft opening, and the regular opening was Labor Day weekend.
Correct.
So you, Adam, and you
Yeah.
do the greeting and the social media?
Yep. I check Jake's Facebook page like 5 or 6 times a day.
Yeah, you're
And-
pretty active on there. I've seen the post.
And it's pretty fun. Sometimes I get carried away with it. So my parents have to tell me to take a break, but I like doing it so much. They told me I could keep going. So I just now I can do Facebook almost totally independently without somebody watching me. But Twitter and Yelp, I still need help. So that's why I have a job coach come to the house.
Great, yeah. And so how about
When
you,
he
Tim? How
masters
did
those,
you
we're going to give him Google Biz. So that'll
getting
come
up
last.
there? Yeah. Great. And Tim, tell me how about you? How'd you get involved with Jake's and what's your role there?
Robin was originally my optometrist for many, many years. And she told me she was opening this ice cream store, and I was ready for a new change in job position. I'd done all I could at my previous job and advanced as far as I could, so wanted a new challenge. And I worked the front end, I worked the cash register, and I scoop ice cream.
He does. He's just graduated to cash register, and that's a big thing for
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
change and things like that. So, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that leads me to my next question for Tim and Adam. I'd love to hear more. You both have mentioned previous jobs. So I'd love to hear more about your experience in the workforce generally. What have your past jobs been like? Have you been able to find accessible workplaces? Did you find opportunities to apply? So Tim, could you tell us a little bit more about what your experience has been working before coming to Jake's?
2013 for 3 months I worked retail at Giant Food over in Alexandria, the Heckinger Plaza Giant. And that was pretty negative. The management there was the worst. And then I obtained a job. My mom used to be a preschool director in Alexandria, and she had connections. So I obtained my next job through her and held that down for 8 years. And now I'm at Jake's.
And you're in school.
Yeah, I'm at school and I'm in school at Northern Virginia Community College for criminal justice.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Very
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, so you're juggling a lot.
yeah.
And Adam, how has your experience in the workforce been?
It's been pretty good, but pretty tough at the same time due to my physical limitations. I started when back in 2007, I worked for the Barack Obama campaign. I went to the life program. I got most of my jobs through there, and I got the Costco job through one of my psychologists. Her husband, her significant other, it was a dentist, so he's the North American regional manager came in. He had an emergency, so he asked the dentist if he could do anything for him, and he said, I have a patient that's looking for a job, and he hired me at Costco. So that was it. And I've been there since I was there for 9 or 10 years, like I said earlier.
And then COVID hit and he was unemployed.
Yeah, COVID hit. My parents didn't want me to go back, so, and then I got a job at Jake's.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask one more question and then I'm going to turn it over to the audience. So everybody be
All
thinking
right.
about the questions you want to ask. So I'm going to zoom out a bit. I've been asking about your personal experience, but I want to zoom out a bit. What do you see as a main barrier people with disabilities face to gaining employment? And I'll start with you, Tim.
I'd say probably I'd say like a lot of people some people might doubt what people with disabilities can do. So maybe definitely some ableism and probably also like they might not have met like people with disabilities, so they might not know what we're capable of.
For sure. Mhm. Adam, what do you think? Main
And-
barrier people with disabilities face to gaining employment?
For people with physical disabilities in general, because I cannot lift anything, or I cannot lift anything or do any major work like that. So I feel that people with physical disabilities have a harder chance of getting a job because of that sometimes. But if it wasn't for Robert, we would all not have good jobs like we do now.
Glad that opportunity came up. Yeah, and when we were discussing last week, we had just a little get to know each other chat. And I asked this question, Adam, I wrote down the quote you said at that time because I thought it was so good. When I said, what do you think are barriers to employment? You said they, meaning people who hire people, have to realize we are smart people and we know what we're doing. And I just thought that was really good quote.
Because a lot of people, like Tim said, don't look at people with disabilities very smart, especially the people that have mental disabilities is probably one of the worst barriers, because they look normal, but they don't act normal, but they act normal in their own way, but some people look down at them too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for that. Robin, what do you think? Main barrier people with disabilities face to gaining employment as a business owner, as somebody who's grappled with a lot of red tape, I know?
There's quite a few barriers, one of which I already mentioned, in that it takes more staff to accomplish the same thing. So an employer has to be willing to have that extra payroll in order to give people an opportunity. So I said before, my shop could be run with about a total of 8 people and we have 30. So that's a huge payroll, even though everybody's not there full time and a lot of them are not even there 20 hours a week. It's still a lot of juggling for schedules. We have no job description in our shop. We have things that need to get done every single day. And we have a list of tasks that get done. Tim has been there for opening and he's taken the clipboard and gone through all the various and sundry things to set stuff up. So we have things that are done at the beginning of the day. We have things that are done at the end of the day. We have to be able to speak to the customers that come in. We have to welcome them. We have to know what they want. We have to know what size cups to reach for, what size cones to reach for. I have ordered all of the ice cream cups to be in different colors because most of the kids don't understand the difference between 4 ounces and 6 ounces and 8 ounces and 12 ounces. So if we say, you know, the polka dots with the colors or the purple cup or the green cup or the cow print cup, they know by looking at the color that that's the size that they have to use. We have color coded ice cream scoops so that we know whether it's a big size scoop or a kid size scoop. Like I said, there are things that we need to do in the shop, and I asked the kids to basically step up and do it. And if they can't, we'll put them together with a team or with another partner to help them. And we practice until we get it done. So I have found that if I have expectations that certain things should be done by somebody and I don't let go of that expectation, pretty much everybody will rise to meet it. So you, as an employer, have to be willing to understand that the learning curve is a little steeper. But I will tell you, out of all of my differently abled staff, they are the most conscientious. They are the most consistent. They are the most reliable for showing up to work. They don't call out for, I've got a party, I've got this, I've got a pimple on my nose. They want to be there every single day for their shift. And it aggravates them if they have to miss a shift. So I find working with differently abled people very rewarding because they want that job. All right. Regardless of what it pays, they want to be there. They want that job. So it's expensive. It's a long learning curve. There's going to be more mistakes made, shall we say. There's going to be some loss of product in the learning curve. And that's something that an employer or a manager has to just accept and move on, because once things are learned, you don't have those issues anymore. It's just in the beginning phases of learning how to do stuff. My most difficult thing is having employees be there nights and weekends, because ice cream shops in the summertime, their busiest time is afternoons and weekends. Most of my staff wants to work mornings. All right. Right now, right now, while school is on, we don't have very much business in the morning at all. So our mornings are spent prepping things for the end of the day, or for special events for the weekend, or for catering events or what have you. And then the staff that's there in the afternoon handles most of the customers. So yeah, we have to be flexible. A lot of employers are not very flexible. They're rather rigid.
Really working on having that flexible mindset. It sounds like in many different ways that some people don't have. Like I said, some employers might not have that or be willing to think that way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much. Oh, go ahead, Tim.
No, I was just saying exactly. That's very true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you all so much. I'm going to open it up now to the audience. So if you want to ask a question, I would ask if you can hit the raise hand icon